I think something always tends to happen with an older running back that gets cut from their team is we just say, well, they suck now. Like that, it is what it is. If the team didn't want him, it's an older running back. That's probably it. But the reality is that's just not how that works, right? I mean, it's a salary cap league. You only have so much money you can pay on players. So just because Joe Mixon the Bengals got rid of him, I believe it ended up being a trade, right? I think it was going to be cut and then ended up being a trade. Yeah, I just Googled it. It was for a 7th round pick, but essentially it was, they got rid of him. And for me, I kind of also felt like, I've never been quite as high on Joe Mixon as some other people are. I felt some people tried to put him in like that elite tier. I never really fully felt that was fair. But when I went back and watched his film last year, I think maybe I had slept on him a little bit because I thought he was actually really good last year when I went back and rewatched it. There's a lot of good stuff, and I can easily see why the Texans decided to go out and get him. And I'm also a little surprised that the Bengals were ready to get rid of him. Again, you got to clear money. Clearing money by getting rid of a running back, usually a good way to do that, especially a guy who's 27, which in running back years is like 90. But still, I thought it was really good, so let me stop rambling and get into the film. One quick thing before I do, though. If you like movies, I have a movie channel. The link is in the description for that. Check that out if you're interested. Do film reviews, stuff like that. I have fun with it. But yeah, let's just get into the Joe Mixon film. So let's start off with a play like this. It's going to be a run to the offense's left. You see several players are going to be double team blocking and then getting up to the next level and blocking someone else. So when Burrow gets the ball to Mixon right here, you see Mixon is able to get through that gap. There was a little bit of contact, but not enough to bring him down. A Cleveland player is coming over to tackle him. So surely this play is about to end, right? Well, okay, I wouldn't have said it like that if it actually was. Watch Mixon bowl over the, Browns player who's trying to meet him there. Mixon does this. Like, that's something, rewatching his tape last year, honestly, that was one of my biggest pleasant surprises with him, is how often you would see him just, get more yards than you were expecting him to get. Like this play, for example, what's going to happen is that Joe Mixon is running to the offense's right here. You see the blocking concept on that side of the field. Again, this play is going to be well blocked, as most running back highlights are well blocked. You see him get up to the next level, but a Cleveland player doing a pretty good job of coming in and getting in position to tackle Mixon. However, again, this time with his shiftiness, watch him, I'm not sure if he got touched there, get around that Cleveland player and just picks up a ton of yards. So, like, we always talk about how valuable is a running back, right? Well, that play, an average running back probably gains 5 yards, maybe 7 yards on that play. He gained 20. Like, that's a valuable play. That's very valuable, and it sets up what, would have been a second down and 5 or maybe second down and 3 to an entire first down and some extra yards on top of it. And he can also do it in ways like this, where again, you see the way this concept is going to be blocked for Cincinnati. Once again, Burrow is going to hand the ball off to Mixon, who is trying to get to the next level. But, again, I think the Cincinnati players block the guys they're supposed to block. The issue is that for San Francisco, they have a couple extra guys who are unblocked right here who can come over and make a tackle. Now, again, blocking concept made it look like it was going to the right, so because of that, Mixon maybe has a chance to try and run by these 49ers players, but it's going to be difficult. However, again, watch him be able to pull this off. He does get brought down, but, nearly had a touchdown, gets tackled at the 10, and again, just gains more yards than your average player would. Your average player is gaining 5 yards on that play. He's gaining 20 on it, so that's a huge swing. Also, something like this, where it's going to be a run more up the gut right here on a second down and goal. When Burrow hands the ball off to Mixon, he starts going up there, but then kind of realizes that might not be the best idea. There is a way for him to get maybe towards the end zone if he bounces things to the outside, and in this situation, he could just run up the gut, but turning it into a third and goal at the 2 or 3, he wants to try and get into the end zone. It's a gamble, but watch him get to the outside, gets around Nick Bosa, actually, and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Joe Burrow, it's kind of funny. You see him celebrating like right away. He seemingly realized what Mixon was doing, which, just shows how much, how good he can be. And also, I got to talk about this play because, for the Texans, like, okay, listen, the running game, that's good. I've expressed, when I did my preview of the Texans, I've talked about how kind of my biggest concern is the offensive line. And I know it had its issues last year, but because of that, the running game wasn't particularly great. And so I think that I'm interested in seeing how much of Mixon's game is going to be in the passing game with Houston. I think that they're going to want to use him in the passing game a good amount. So then this play, the way it's going to work is it's actually a running back screen play. That's, how this is designed to work. So, okay, simple enough. So usually this is kind of different than your regular receiving play, but just let's see what happens. So when this play begins, you see Mixon is going to get up, kind of around the line of scrimmage, trying to make this catch, but it's actually a bit of a not great throw. Mixon has gotten a hand on the ball, but he's going to have to try and find a way to corral it, and in a hurry too, because it's not like you can just make the catch and then everything's good. That Baltimore player right there looks about ready to come in and take his head off, so Mixon's going to have to, figure something out. But watch him make the grab and then still make that Raven player miss, and he picks up a 9-yard gain, and one of the better 9-yard receptions you will ever see from a running back. I mean, that's just really good stuff. So what do we make of all of this? Well, one thing I brought up in the video, but I definitely think is worth mentioning is I'm not in love with this offensive line. I'm just not. I think that there's some real holes and some questions that could be could be answered, right? Like, can Kenyon Green have a bounce back year? I haven't been overly impressed with what we have seen from him. Not exactly a hot take there so far, but can he have a bounce back year? Maybe. Can Titus Howard, going back to, I'm assuming they're going to have him play like tackle, can he go back to playing well as a tackle, because he has done that in the past, right? I don't know. Those are questions that I have. They just are. I really like Shaq Mason, really like Tunsil, but if the offensive line can't block for Mixon, can he get these plays going? Sure, his receiving ability will always still be good, and I think that's what you like about someone like him, is that even if you can't get that down, there at least is that positive. The one thing I would say, though, is Mixon isn't much of a blocker. Like, Dameon Pierce, for all his faults, he's actually a really good pass protector. So you could have, usually I think Pierce might be the third down back. But the issue is Mixon's a much better receiver, although Pierce has shown flashes in the past of being a good receiver. So I think what they want is Mixon to be a first and second down back and Pierce to be a third down back. I actually think that would probably be the best way to do it. They kind of complement each other nicely in that aspect. Of course, the question just becomes, can the offensive line hold up? But as a whole, I think there will be times when the offensive line does hold up, and I think Mixon could be a real nice benefit for the Texans. So yeah, I think it's a strong move. I think he does still have it. Going back and doing a deep dive, that's kind of how I view this. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Joe Mixon? Do you agree with me that he's kind of been slept on? Do you think I was too hard on him back in the day, and he was that elite running back when he was in his prime? Or do you think he's still in his prime now? I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff, but or am I being too high on him? Because the one thing I will say is, the highlights are great. He's not always doing these highlights, of course, but that goes without saying. Yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.